The questions remain the same in each of these interviews. The power lies in hearing these amazing answers. My name is Tony Reese, and it is with a great privilege and honor I present to you this installment of My Life Lessons Showcasing Senior Adults. Welcome to My Life Lessons Showcasing Senior Adults. And today I am privileged to have Mr. Walter Bennis with me. Hi, Walt. How are you today?
Very fine, thank you.
Good. Thank you for showing up for this project. If you would take a moment, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Would like to do that. As we get into these questions, we'll refer back to this and make it more meaningful.
Okay.
I believe. I guess I'm 90 years old.
Congratulations.
Which gives me more perspective maybe than some other people, but also is a background of my life and how I got here. So that's what you say, take a couple minutes, talk it over. That's 90 years, and we'll condense it to see where it is. I went to school in Reading. I'm a local person. Went to school in a small school at that time, Central Catholic, very small. I guess the biggest thing happened in those days was that it was in the middle of World War II, and they were starting a program for officer training. And not knowing anything about it, I took the test and passed it. Another fellow and I did it. He flunked out on physical, and I got to go to college for 2 years in this case to get a commission in the Navy. It was a very open program and had no guidance whatsoever as I got into it. And they asked what I would like to do in the Navy, and I didn't know what I wanted to do in the Navy. And one was engineering, so I said, engineering is ships, and I want to be aboard a ship, so I'll pick that. I got to the college right after I graduated, and I was 17 at the time, and they looked over my background and said, you know, if it went for the Navy, we wouldn't let you close to this place.
Oh.
You have none of the prerequisites whatsoever, and you're going to have a hard time, which I did. Now, it was a very, very strict program. We went over 2 years of college in 16 months, and every 4 months people flunked out. It was designed to do that. Somehow I didn't, and I got through the program without having any background whatsoever, and I went to midshipman school, got a commission in the Navy, and eventually got aboard ship, and spent a total of between 3 and 4 years doing World War II in the Navy. Got out. When I got out, I was 20 years old and had been around the world on this ship, and went back and finished my college, got a job in insurance, got married. We moved to Philadelphia with a child. Well, a child wasn't even born. We moved. My wife was about 8 months pregnant when we got. But that's an indication of my wife being important to me and my career. After a few months down there, I got recalled to the Navy for Korea for 2 more years of service. I ended up over in the Mediterranean, and the ship had a home port over there, although we didn't stay ashore or anything like that. And my wife had the opportunity to move over. So next thing was with this baby who was a year old at that time, got the opportunity to come over and live on the Riviera.
Whoa.
While I was on board ship, people told her, you can't go take a baby over there. This is when Russia was taking over Europe. And she said, yeah, I'll go. And she went, and I met her and took her down to France. So she stayed with another officer's wife who was going over. And what I did was we landed from the airplane, took her to the pension. Next day, I said, okay, I'm going to be leaving. Get a place to live, and I'll come back in a couple months. We didn't know French. We couldn't speak it. I didn't know the difference between low and lay, and one's water and one's milk.
Oh.
The little baby wanted milk, she got bored. But it worked out extremely well. Came home and got a job in with the Glidden Company, a local establishment, and I worked for them here for a number of years, and then went to the headquarters in Cleveland. Worked a number of different jobs in there. On the national staff, got to know a lot of people. Came back here to be plant manager in Reading, and stayed here for quite a bit of time. Eventually, Glidden was taken over by a European company. It was from England, ICI. It was a beautiful company, and they were the biggest paint company in the world at that time. And they wanted people to go over there, somebody to go over and exchange manufacturing knowledge with them. So I went over, and before that I had gone down to Australia to do the same thing with them, and went down for said about 4 to 6 weeks, and then going for 3 months. And I wasn't doing anything hardly, and it was nice. I learned to drive on the other side of the road, etc. But I wasn't contributing too much. So one day I said, got an appointment with a fellow who was the president of Australia, and ICI down there, and said, I'd like to come in and talk to you about what manufacturing can do for you. Well, went in, and he liked it, and talked to his staff, and that was that. Next year, I got a call saying, would you like to go to New Zealand?
Oh, so you have been all over the world.
A couple places. And I said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And happens I was in Cleveland at the time, and talked on the phone with this fellow who just happened to be calling there when I was there. And he said, are you taking your wife with you? And I said, no, I didn't know I could do that. He said, take your wife with you. So I did. And what happened there, the first day I was there, the fellow in charge of New Zealand, and I went to meet the people in the manufacturing operation, and unbeknownst to me, he says, as of now, this fellow and the present plant manager are both co-plant managers.
Oh, okay.
I think they had hopes I would stay, which I didn't.
Yeah.
And I came on back, and fortunately that fellow in charge of Australia got to be in charge of Europe, and he called me about coming over and working. That's why I went over to work for the home plant over outside of London for 3 years, and from working for the home plant manager, he said, would you like to take over another plant? We're going to get rid of retire the plant manager 125 miles away. Said, oh, that's okay. So I had that 2 days a week. I'd go up the other plant, and then I would run both plants. Next thing, he asked if I would be the manufacturer of operations for Europe for manufacturing. So I get into that and did a lot of traveling around and enjoyed it.
It sounds like you have had a wonderful career. And lots of. That's why I'm going to start asking you the questions, because I have a feeling this is pretty powerful. So, how do you define a great life?
Okay, let me give you the rest of it.
Oh, okay.
That's only a start. I retired when I was when I went to Europe. I was 64. Okay. Over there, people had to retire at 63 for ICI. So I was pretty senior in the group. Then when I came back here, I retired, and I was at that time 67. And a fellow from Glidden had said, vice president said, if ever I retire and I get another job, I'm going to make sure you come with me. So I went to work down in Dallas, Texas, 1 week a month for next 19 years.
Oh my!
Till I was 86 when I finally retired 4 years ago.
Wow!
we'll talk. I was in here at that time. So I've had a pretty long career, an active career, and 1 week a month was wonderful. It was great.
My goodness, that is some career that
Yep.
you have, particularly with a company, the same company all those years.
No, the second company wasn't. The 19.5 was another one.
Oh, it was?
It's a smaller
Ah,
company
okay.
who thought I knew everything.
That's nice.
Yes, it was.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Okay.
So, how do you define a great life?
Everybody would define a great life differently. I look at it just two ways. One is what you can do for life, for civilization, and what enjoyment you get out of what you do during your life. And I think it's important that for me as an individual, the latter part certainly, but what you contribute. Now, if you look at what we have said so far, I've come up, the Great Depression was still on when I was born, and I remember very vividly going through that. We always had a relative living with us at home to help make things go. But we got through the Great Depression, and then came the war years, and so that being able to get by and contribute and share during those times as you work and with your family. We ended up with 8 children, and quite a responsibility from both my wife's standpoint and mine. Mm-hmm. So a great life is being able to handle that in a competent manner.
How has being here at the Highlands added to a great life now?
Well, when I signed up the Highlands when I was 70 years old, we did, and moved in when I was 80 years old. Mm-hmm. At that time, I was still going back and forth to Dallas 1 week a month, and having her as her base while I was gone. Somebody came in sometimes and stayed with her. Well, I was away for a week, but having the routine here was a great way to do it. I could afford to do it that way without her being too by herself. Second, the children. It's the greatest gift I think we ever gave to our children was getting in here. They knew that we were taken care of, and that they would not have to be concerned with how we were going to end our life.
How selfless is that?
Now, the other thing it gave was the ability to take part. It's a home base for which to travel from, which we traveled quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And we went on cruises, went to Europe a number of times, back where we had been before. I also got involved, after I stopped working 1 week a month, I got involved in the administration of the Residence Council. I was the president for 2 years, which I don't think anybody else has been president for 2 years in a row. And then I'm still on it, and I'll be on until the end of this year, but not as president. It has been an ability for me to take part and to get to know more about how the Highlands is run and what we could do to represent our people.
Okay. So as you were growing up, or even into your adulthood, who were your heroes or your role models?
Yeah, as far as the role models and heroes as a child, the child has a limited range, so that I don't think that was too important as further development. But as everybody else, you have your teachers and you have your family and relatives, basically. As we got older, though, got into the Navy, met people who had more important positions. You had more of a pick of people who would help you develop your future. I think the one person in the Navy, I think it was one person in particular, a lieutenant commander at that time, the navigator in our ship, a graduate of the Naval Academy. He had his family over there, as we did in France, and got to know him. He was like the ideal Navy officer. He had everything. He knew his job. He handled himself so well, and he was personable. after that, you get a job. I returned it, went to Glidden, and their national staff, and my office was two doors down from the president. They were a lot more important people than me, but that was just happened to be that way. So I got to know somebody who really had earned the right to be president, and I would hope to emulate him in how he handled himself. His life went on.
What do you think would surprise people the most to know about you?
I guess I don't really like to surprise people to start with, but I think that the people would be surprised at the softer side of Walter.
Okay.
For instance, I like opera, and I have the opportunity to go very early over Naples. The first opera I saw was in Naples, Italy.
My goodness.
And places such as that, I've been to the Sydney, Australia Opera House. That's a beautiful, beautiful place. Been to England when we were over there, to Covent Gardens Royal Opera House, and certainly the Met. And we had my 90th birthday party in January, and the kids brought two opera singers in to sing to us as part of the performance. That's one thing. The other thing is poetry. I've always enjoyed poetry. I have alongside my desk, my chair in the living room, a book with the 500 best poems. And if I couldn't sleep sometime or have worried about something else, I could sit down and read that and enjoy that. I think that's probably too. The other thing, I enjoy beautiful things. After I retired, I went back over to France and worked for a couple months by myself over there. We had a plant in Rouen, and Rouen had a cathedral. And every night that cathedral would be lighted. And it was the most beautiful thing in the world. I'd walk down and see that. I could stand there and cry. It was absolutely. Monet painted it many, many, many times, different lights. So things like that, I do enjoy. I enjoy beauty.
What is your greatest life lesson? What is your greatest life lesson?
Wait a second. Well, there's so many of them. I guess one, to work hard. But outside of one, once I had to get through college, not having the background, that was hard. That's hard. I got to learn how to do that. I worked hard, and I worked almost every morning, Saturday morning in my life. Nobody else had to do that. I went in and I wanted to do things that I hadn't done during the week. I wanted to learn things. I wanted to know things. I did that. Other people, some smarter than me, didn't work as hard.
So that really has been your life lesson, is to just work hard, so you can go do what you need to do.
That's right. The other is to save your money. Don't spend the principal. Give people their deserts. Recognize your subordinates. The more people were sent in to Reading to spend some time with me, that led to greater jobs for them. We have many people have passed through, and I think I helped so many people. The mentor part of it, I had the role of being a mentor for so many as we went through. The family, though, was so important. And if you talk about who influenced my life, later on, my children influenced my life, and I hope I have influenced each of their lives.
That's a wonderful lead into this question.
Yep.
What does love mean to you?
The dictionary says love is intense affection. Well, that's a word. It means to me to be able to put them ahead of yourself, to be aware of what their needs are and supply the needs, to be there when the person needs you, not only when it's appropriate, but if they have a problem, to help them with the problem, to put their needs ahead of your own, I think is what I would say. My certainly love is for my wife. Now she has Alzheimer's, and she is in the Alzheimer's unit now for 4 years. I take her out every afternoon. It wasn't suggested I do that. It was suggested I don't do that. You let them get used to it, but I couldn't do that. But so every afternoon when I leave here now, I will go down and pick up my wife, and we'll go upstairs and have time together. That's what love, I think, is.
Walter, how would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered certainly as a good person, as a good father, a good family person, as a successful individual, successful in the service, successful in business, successful at the Highlands of being part of this group. I remember a person who is helpful to other people and help them grow, and to, as I said, for people who I mentor who went on to be much, much further along because of the association. Mm-hmm. I think that's the kind of a person I would like to call a good Christian. Nothing better than being a good Jew, or maybe even a good Muslim if you really are a good one. Mm-hmm. But have religion, and I have had that for all my life.
Well, Mr. Walter Bennis, this has been a lovely interview, and thank you so much for being part of this project.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.